Hey Lamb, this episode was actually recorded before I started Ky Rants. I initially did it for a midweek episode, but I'm going to put it out as a Ky Rants because, hey, I recorded it already. So this is 3 cases, and like I said, this was recorded before I started Ky Rants. Enjoy. Hey guys, it's Ky. So you probably hear my fan in the background. Look, it is way too hot to turn it off, so I will try to minimize the noise as much as possible in edit. However, if it's not minimized, apologies, but I can't melt. I'm sorry, I can't melt. It's either the noise or no show today. Those are the 2 options. It's 97 degrees out here. 97 degrees. Absolutely not. Anyways, so I have 3 stories for you today. And we're going to get right on into it as we do. So the first story comes to you from Florida. So this one comes from Florida, like I said. Stephen Thomas Rodda, who is 37, was actually arrested after he allegedly killed his son, whose name is Stephen Lee Rodda, who was 16 years old. This happened in Lake Wales, Polk County. So apparently Stephen was staying with his grandparents to kind of help them out around the house. You know, sometimes your grandparents get old. Hopefully your grandparents get old. And, you know, sometimes the children go over there to help them out because they can't, vacuum for themselves or clean the house like they used to or mow the lawn. I don't know if these are all bad examples, but you know what I mean. I know when we went to go visit our grandparents, we always cleaned the house from top to bottom whenever we went there. So I could dig it. So on Monday, the grandfather went to visit his wife. So I guess the wife was maybe in a house or home or something. And the husband, which is the grandfather, went to visit her in the nursing home. And that would be during visiting hours. So he came back home around 11 a.m. And when he got home, his son, which is Stephen, came outside and told his father, "I wouldn't go in there if I was you. I killed someone. You may need to call the police." So Thomas was like, what? He goes inside because, of course, somebody says, don't go in there. I killed somebody. You're like, do I believe them? Do I not? I would go check. I'm not touching anything, but I would go check because I don't want to call the police and nothing happened. But I'm not touching anything. So Thomas went and checked. And he found his grandson dead in the dining room. So Thomas did call the police, even though that's his son, that's his grandson. And even if it wasn't his grandson, you just murdered somebody, dude. So he called the police. The police came and found the grandson dead. And it looked like he was killed with an angle grinder. I don't know what that is. Let me look that up real quick. And through the power of editing, this only took 5 seconds. So, wow, an angle grinder. I know what this is. How did he do this? So for those of you who don't know, an angle grinder, also known as a side grinder or a disc grinder, is a handheld power tool used for grinding and polishing. And it looks like a saw. Okay, picture this. If you had a rough piece of wood and you know the thing that carpenters use to smooth out that wood. So you have on the face of it, you have, what do you call that? It's an abrasive, a sander. I think it's a sander. So it's something akin to a sander. And I don't understand how he would have killed his son with that. I hope he didn't use the sanding part. The only thing I can see is he took the cord and maybe strangled him. How would you? I don't even know. I can't picture how he would kill his son with that. So cops arrested him. He was actually a mile away on Highway 60 by the time police caught up with him. But they arrested him and he's currently in custody. He has a criminal history in multiple states. Wow. And when he was taken into custody, police found out that he has an outstanding arrest warrant in South Carolina. And he also has a criminal history in Washington, D.C., Texas, Ohio. And right now, they have no idea why the father did this to his son. There's no motive. They have no clue. The grandfather did say that the reason he went into the house was because His son usually made, quote, bizarre comments, and the sheriff said, quote, "We are told that the suspect used methamphetamine since high school and he has psychotic episodes. This guy has been nothing but a problem to society for a very long time," end quote. And so far, that's the update. So there's no update to that, but he is in custody and no update as to the whys, where, when, how, who. So that is the case of Stephen Thomas Rodda. And poor Stephen Lee Rodda is dead. He was actually in 11th grade. He was getting his first job to try and buy a car. And he was studying to be an electrician. And the poor kid actually just went to help his grandparents. Not many kids do that. Wow. The next case that I have is actually of an influencer and her mom. A 23-year-old TikToker named Mehek Bukhari and her mother, Ansreen, I hope I'm saying this right. Anyway, they killed two men, Saqib Hussein and Hashim Ijzuddin. I think that's how you say it. And Saqib and Hashim were both 21 years old. They actually were in a high-speed car chase with these two dudes. So Mehek and Ansreen were chasing Saqib and Hashim down the highway, I guess, on February 11th, 2022. And they hit their car. So the women hit the men's car, which forced it off the road, and both men died. So these women are being charged with double murder. So the backstory is that Saqib and Hashim had been lured, quote, that's in quote, lured to meet Mehek and Ansreen at a grocery store parking lot in I don't know, this is in England, so I don't know how to say this. Leicester, 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 England. And what was going on was that Saqib was actually in an affair with Ansreen. And he had threatened to expose the affair to Ansreen's husband because she wanted to end the relationship and he didn't want to end the relationship. So he was like, look, if you leave me, I'm going to tell your husband all about it. So the daughter and the mother told them hey, let's come talk about it. Come meet us at the grocery store. We'll talk in the parking lot. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and give you some of the money back that you spent on me throughout this affair. So I'm going to give you that money back. Well, some of it, out of $3,700, I'll give you about 3,000 pounds of what you spent on me during the affair. If you would just keep your mouth shut, and come, let's talk. So 3,000 pounds is about $3,700 US. So Saqib took his friend, I guess for backup, just in case. But while he was on his way, that's when the two women met him on the road and then, started to force him off the road. And it became a high-speed chase because what are you going to do if somebody's trying to force you off the road? You're going to speed up and try and get away from them. And right before he was forced off the road, Saqib ended up calling the police to report that somebody was trying to, quote, ram him off the road. So with that call and the evidence, Mehek and Ansreen were arrested. And during their trial, the recorded call was actually played. So it said, quote, "They're hitting the back of the car really fast." I'm not going to try a British accent. Sorry. "Please, I'm begging you. I'm going to die." And at that point, that's when the call ended. So when he says, "I'm going to die," there was a scream and then the call just ended. During the trial, the judge, Timothy Spencer, said, quote, "TikTok and Instagram lie at the heart of this case. You, Mehek Bukhari, being an influencer on both platforms, that's why you dropped out of university. Had you not done so, you would have been a graduate with your whole life in front of you." He also said she was immature below her years and said, quote, "Your fame through your career as an influencer has made you utterly self-obsessed with a wholly unjust sense of self-entitledness." I'm failing to see how social media has to do with her being a crazed murderer. If y'all could put 2 and 8 together for me, because I'm not understanding his logic here. So anyways, after he said that, somehow that Instagram and TikTok is to blame, I guess. I don't know. Her and her mother were sentenced. So Mehek was sentenced to a minimum of 31 years and 8 months in prison. And Shreen was sentenced to a minimum of 26 years and 9 months. It says 2 more. Actually, hold on. It actually says 5 more people were sentenced as well. So it says the 2 drivers who were also found guilty of murder. Okay, this story is not making sense. It's too broken up. So I guess somebody else maybe was driving, and Mehek and her mother, they just tried to convince them to come out. When they came out, the 2 other drivers then drove them off the road. I'm not sure. The way this story is put together doesn't make sense. See, normally what I do is I research everything and put it in a script and bring it to y'all. Right now I'm reading straight. Well, I'm not reading, but I'm looking straight off of the articles to let you know. So it says 2 drivers were found guilty. So one of the drivers was sentenced to a minimum of 26 years and 10 months. While the other one, who was already serving a rape sentence, was sentenced to a minimum of 36 years and 45 days. Then there were still 3 other people, and they were found guilty of manslaughter. How many people agreed to murder 2 people? That's insane. So it's a total of 7 people who went after 2 people because the mother decided to have an affair. And she didn't want her business out there. And they thought they were going to somehow get away with this. I'm really thinking you should have just not had an affair. Not brought your daughter into this. And not asked convicted rapists for help in murdering 2 people. So they were just convicted. Everybody was just convicted on September 1st, even though this happened on February 11th, 2022. They were just convicted on September 1st, 2023. And Mehek is already looking to appeal the conviction. Appeal it based on what? Based on what? You murdered somebody. I still don't understand how Instagram or TikTok is to blame. But anyway, Mehek was a TikToker. Her TikTok account was Maybe Vlogs, MAYBVLOGS. Where she has more than 136,000 followers and 3.4 million likes on her videos. And sometimes her mother actually appears in her videos. Yeah, so that's their case. Although I still am failed to understand how social media is to blame for a girl becoming a murderer. But okay. And the last one I have, where a 17-year-old is facing charges in shooting someone. This happened in Texas, and Natalie Navarro, 17, was initially the subject of an Amber Alert. But instead of being the subject of an Amber Alert or people frantically, searching for her to help her, it turned into them searching for her due to murder. On Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, police discovered the body of a 21-year-old man, Arturo Peña, in a car in Garland, Texas. Apparently, he had gone missing 2 days prior. Police had received a call saying that a man was in a car passed out. He wasn't responding. Come out and check on this guy. Once they got to the scene, they actually saw that, no, he's actually been shot, not that he was passed out. During the investigation, they found out that Natalie was one of 2 suspects in the shooting, and they went ahead and arrested her. Although she was arrested, police still do not know why she did this. But in the meantime, while she's still in custody, they're looking to transport her to Dallas County Jail before she's actually formally charged, which this can take up to 15 days. Now, remember I said that she was initially the subject of an Amber Alert? Well, she had been last seen on Thursday afternoon, and so her parents had called in an Amber Alert. And on the Amber Alert, it listed that she was in, quote, grave or immediate danger. Then it turned to this, and they found her and posted another update saying that she was located by law enforcement and is currently safe and in custody. Imagine that being the update of an Amber Alert. Like, say you're really worried about somebody because of an Amber Alert, and once the Amber Alert is turned off, they give you an update and they're like, yeah, so the person was found safe and sound. They murdered 3 people and raped 5. But they're currently safe in police custody. Now, just imagine that that's your update to the Amber Alert that you get on your phone. I also mentioned that there were 2 people in this and that Natalie was one of 2. So Yodi Martinez, who is 21, was the second suspect, and they were actually the suspect in the quote-unquote abduction for the Amber Alert. And they're facing an arrest warrant as a person of interest relating to Arturo's death. Quote, I believe they know each other, but I don't know the extent of their relationship. End quote. This came from the sheriff in charge of the case. Natalie is currently facing capital murder charges and is being held on a $1 million bond. And in Texas, a charge of capital murder faces a potential result of life in prison without parole, or they can get the death penalty. And then murder, a charge of murder, is punishable by up to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Right now, Jordi Martinez is not found, so nobody knows where he is, but he is a suspect. And that is all I have for you in the news today. A story coming from Florida, a story coming from the UK, and a story coming from Texas. Bye.